Railroad marketing has always been a crucial part in getting new business. You needed a flashy or aesthetically pleasing logo to catch the eyes of any passerby. While most railroads did this through shapes and symbols, one railroad did this through an animal, more specifically, a kitten. Sometime in the 1920s in Vienna, Austria, artist Guido Grunewald was creating art of cats and other animals, something he specialized in. One such etching he made was of a sleeping kitten tucked into bed. This etching made its way into a 1933 newspaper read by Chesapeake Ohio Railway Head of Public Relations and Marketing, L.C. Probert. He saw an opportunity to use this kitten as a way to advertise the C&O's then-new air-conditioned sleeping car service running over the railroad's extremely smooth roadbed. Probert purchased the rights to use the image for $5 and created an entire advertising campaign centered around the kitten. An advertisement that ran in September 1933's Fortune magazine marked the kitten's first appearance as the C&O's new mascot. The image was coupled with a new slogan reading, "Sleep like a kitten and arrive fresh as a daisy in air-conditioned comfort." Though what's a kitten without a name? C&O's advertising department had chosen the name Chessie, derived from the railroad's nickname. The campaign proved extremely popular, and in 1934, the first Chessie calendar was printed with 40,000 copies being sold. She made appearances in several nationwide magazines as well, making the kitten a household name. In 1935, Chessie had twin kittens named Nip and Tuck, and in 1937, the C&O introduced Chessie's mate. His name was Peake, making the pair Chessie and Peake, a play on the word Chesapeake. The Chessie family provided much-needed comfort and morale during the Great Depression and were known as America's sleep-heart. With this in place, the C&O became the most popular railroad in the American advertising world. As war began overseas in Europe and America joining in 1941, Chessie's family once again provided comfort and boosted morale of the American people. Chessie became the sleep warden of the American traveler, and Peake became a war veteran himself, with the family reminding people at home to give up their seats and sleeping berths for traveling soldiers. After the war and Peake returned to his family, the Chessie cats became even more of a marketing icon, being displayed in all sorts of advertisements, toys, clothing, calendars, matchbooks, playing cards, timetables, and storybooks. In an August 1957 issue of Time magazine, readers could write to the C&O and request a portfolio of pictures of Chessie and her family. Into the 1960s, the Chesapeake Ohio, Baltimore Ohio, and Western Maryland became closely knit together railroads. In 1962, the B&O became corporately owned by the C&O, and in 1967, the C&O and B&O began jointly controlling the Western Maryland. This ultimately led to the creation of Chessie System Incorporated in 1972. Instead of advertising luxury passenger service or wartime travels, Chessie took to advertising tentative freight service. She became an icon of the newly designed Chessie System moniker, now being displayed on locomotives and freight cars. Chessie merchandise remained quite popular as well. Once more, Chessie's bright appearance boosted morale, given the rundown looks and hard times the industry was going through at this point in time. She became the defining feature of the railroad's logo, outlining a bolded C known as the Chess C. The railroad's typeface would even become known as Chess Cat. The only time Chessie would be featured on a steam locomotive was on Reading 2101 during the Chessie Steam Special between 1977 and 78. However, her days as a railroad mascot would be numbered beginning in 1980. The Chessie System merged with the Seaboard Coastline to create CSX Corporation. Fortunately though, the Chessie brand was retained until May 1986 when CSX began to develop their own identity. By April 1987, the B&O formally merged into the C&O, and that September, the C&O merged into CSX Transportation, the new name for the Seaboard System. From there on out, CSX would be used on any former Chessie or Seaboard equipment, routes, timetables, and advertising, eventually replacing Chessie and her family. Even though Chessie no longer appears on revenue rails as she once did, her and her family remain a fascinating and important part in the history of American railroading and advertising. Having received nearly 1 million pieces of fan mail addressed to the C&O, she represents another time in the world when trains were the go-to for transportation and when things moved just a little bit slower. Fortunately, Chessie hasn't been forgotten. At the B&O Railroad Museum, B&O 3802 remains in operation with Chessie colors. CSX hasn't forgotten about its heritage either. C&O number 8272 was restored by employees and donated to the Lakeshore Railway Historical Society in 2017. CSX number 7765 and 366 also feature stickers featuring the Chessie logo. Likewise, at many museums and displays, Chessie remains an icon on rail equipment. Some revenue rail cars still retain their Chessie markings even to this day. And as recently as 2019, the Chesapeake Ohio Historical Society released a book called Chessie Takes a Train Trip, where Chessie takes a train trip on the C&O during 1935. The book features the first newly commissioned artwork of the kitty since 1984 as well. The C&O Historical Society continues Chessie's marketing legacy, selling various kinds of memorabilia as well. In the end though, this isn't the only case of a cat being the symbol of a railroad. Over the Pacific Ocean in Japan, the Wakayama Electric Railway was made famous by Tama the cat, who was made station master of the Kishi station in 2007. After her passing in 2015, Nitama took over at the station. Trains are decked out in cartoon depictions of Tama, and all sorts of merchandise is available, quite similar to that of Chessie. In similar fashion in the United States, cats have become popular icons or attractions of several railroad museums across the United States, many of which have their own social media accounts. While her family's days as a symbol of the C&O and Chessie system are over, she'll remain in the minds and hearts of rail enthusiasts everywhere as Chessie, the Railroad Kitten.